Hey everyone, it's the first time I'm using this Screen-O-Matic. Trying to figure out the best way to do this. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm going to do an overview of financial management, just like a general overview. I also don't know how to make this bigger. How do I make this bigger? Guess we'll just stay here. So, those working in finance need to have a knowledge of economics and accounting. Generally, the person in an organization who handles a company's finances is the CFO or the Chief Financial Officer. So generally, when you're in college, financial management breaks down into economics and accounting. So if you want to get into a role like a CFO eventually someday, then you would need a general knowledge of both economics and accounting. Finance is divided into 3 areas, which I will go over in the next few slides. It's financial management, capital management, and investments. So first, we have financial management, which is also referred to as corporate finance. Financial management deals with decisions related to how much or what type of assets a company should acquire, how they should raise the money or capital needed to purchase said assets, and how to run an organization to maximize its value. So financial management is kind of like a big deal because it deals with the money, and it deals with how a company spends or gets its money. The same principle applies to for-profit and non-profit organizations, which is pretty important because you would think that maybe for a non-profit they wouldn't be so much into financial management because they are, like I said, not-for-profit. But in fact, everyone has to deal with money in some form. Capital markets, which is next on the list, relates to the markets where interest rates and stocks and bond prices are figured out. Financial institutions that supply money or capital to businesses are studied here. And 2 examples of capital markets are the Federal Reserve System and also the SEC. That is capital markets. Next, we move on to investments, basically dealing with decisions for stocks and bonds, which are pretty important, especially as you get older. I know that when I was younger, I really didn't know anything about stocks or bonds, and I still am not the best with them. But as you get older and you move into different types of organizations, which I'll also get into in later slides, because there are different types of organizations, whether they're corporations or partnerships, but especially if you're in a big organization, you get offered things like stocks and bonds as part of your benefits package. So it's definitely important to know what you're dealing with. And a great piece of advice that I've heard throughout my life is that you should definitely, if you are going to get involved with stocks and bonds, you should meet with some sort of financial advisor, because it's hard to determine where to place your stocks and bonds because you place it in different parts of the stock market, and we're not all familiar with how to place your stocks and bonds within the market. So investments include activities such as security analysis, which deals with the values of the stocks and bonds, how much they're worth. Portfolio theories deals with the best ways to structure your stock and bond portfolios. And that's like something that you should meet with a financial advisor about. I also, in my article links within my discussion post, you'll see that I post something about portfolio theories and, the best way to go about managing your portfolio. Also market analysis, which deals with the fluctuations of the market, which if you get into financial management, at some point you should be able to kind of calculate how the market's going to fluctuate. And I suppose if you follow the stock market in general, you don't need to be a financial management connoisseur, so to speak, because, the market goes up and down, and we all see it go up and down. Moving on. So, there are several types of forms of business organizations. The first type is a proprietorship. Pardon my blubbering. And that is a company owned by a single individual. It's easily and inexpensively formed. It has few government regulations and lower income taxes. Those are the pros. Some cons are that there is unlimited personal liability. If your company goes down, you're going down with it. The life of the business equals the life of the owner. Exactly what I just said. And if you don't pass it on when you're gone, the business is gone as well. And it's also difficult to attain large amounts of capital. Like if you're a big company like Microsoft, it's easy to gain capital, whereas if you're a mom and pop CD store down the street, you're not going to get a lot of money. Partnership is a organization that is owned by 2 or more people. They're easily and inexpensively formed, just like proprietorship. They're taxed on an individual basis, so like if there are 2 owners, they're both sharing the taxes. And they also have unlimited personal liability, which is another con. And then another thing is that if you're in a partnership, one person goes bankrupt, the other one doesn't, then all the owed money and whatnot falls on the other partner. Corporation, that's the big one. It's a legal entity created by a state. It's separate from its owners, so the owners own shares, but if the company goes under, the owners don't go under. Unlimited lives, we see the bailouts that, car industry bailouts, etc. Easily able to obtain capitals, but taxes are a drawback. They get taxed. S corporations were created by Congress for small businesses that can be labeled as a corporation but get taxed like a partnership or a proprietorship. And then the final 2 are limited liability companies and limited liability partnerships. The limited liability company is a partnership corporation hybrid, and a limited liability partnership is used for professional firms and is similar to the LLC. So there's limited liability for both, kind of like a corporation, but also taxed like a partnership. So it's kind of like a hybrid of both, maybe slightly similar to the S corporation. Also in my articles, I have articles referencing the difference between the 2, which you can check out as well. I got my reference from the overview of the Fundamentals of Financial Management 7th edition book, the one that we used for the class. And I hope you enjoyed my presentation. I'm sorry for the blubbering in the beginning, but I hope I redeemed myself. Thanks, guys.